All right, welcome to your very own deep dive. You wanted to explore Democracy in America by Alexis de
It's
Tocqueville.
a classic.
It is, and trust me, this book has some amazing insights, even today.
For sure.
We're going to uncover some fascinating, even surprising themes, like how democracy could maybe weaken individual strength.
Interesting.
The complex role of women in America, that's something Tocqueville observed, really focused on, and this unexpected link he found between religion and freedom.
Oh, wow.
To help us unpack all this, we've got our expert on political theory. They're going to help connect these ideas.
You know, it's amazing how Tocqueville's observations from way back in the 1830s, they still hold up a mirror to our modern society.
Yeah. Okay, so Democracy in America, big picture. Tocqueville was this young French aristocrat, came to America, wanted to see this, this grand experiment in democracy firsthand.
Right.
But he wasn't, just here to sing its praises. He was taking notes, making predictions.
Bold predictions.
Yeah. Some of them, especially when you consider what happened with Russia, are kind of chilling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I quit.
Well, he identified this massive force he called the Democratic Revolution. Like, it was going to change the world.
He saw that.
He did. And he even predicted that America and Russia would hold the destinies of, like, half the world. That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah, for the 1830s. That's,
No.
wow.
Right. And then he drops this bombshell. Democracy, he says, has this built-in paradox.
Oh.
Yeah. On the surface, it's all about equality, right?
Yeah. Breaking down the old hierarchies, giving everyone a voice.
Exactly. But Tocqueville argues that this very equality can open the door to a new kind of tyranny.
Tyranny.
Tyranny. The tyranny of the majority. What does that even mean?
Well, imagine like a society where everyone is supposedly equal
Okay.
and the majority rules.
Right.
What happens to the people who disagree with the crowd?
Ooh.
What happens to individual thought?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, Tocqueville worried that individuals with all this pressure to conform might actually lose the ability to, think for themselves.
So it's like in a world where everyone's supposed to have a voice, they're too overwhelmed to actually use it.
Exactly. It's as if the sheer volume of opinions, it drowns out individual thought.
It's like a silencing effect, almost.
Yes, precisely. Tocqueville called this the weakening of individual capacity. He argues that as people become more equal, they also become more isolated, less capable of actually using their rights.
So they might lose, like, their sense of agency?
Yes. Become dependent on the state.
Oh, wow.
And ultimately trade one form of dependence, the old aristocracy, for a new one on the all-powerful state.
Whoa, that's a scary thought. This idea of the majority silencing individual thought.
It's something to think about.
It is. It has some disturbing echoes in our own time, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Ah.
Well, think about the anxieties we have around social media today.
Oh, yeah.
This pressure to fit in, the constant flow of information, the fear of being canceled for having a dissenting opinion.
It's like this digital conformity.
Right. And Tocqueville would probably argue that social media, while it offers, this platform for connection, it could actually make the isolation and conformity worse. This pressure to present like a curated self, it can stifle individual expression.
Lead to this kind of like digital group thing.
Exactly.
Where any dissenting voices, they get like silenced.
That's the danger.
Wow. This link between individual freedom and the potential for the majority to squash that freedom, it's mind-blowing. But Tocqueville didn't stop there.
No, he didn't.
He also turned his attention to something seemingly totally different.
What's that?
The role of women in America.
Ah, yeah.
This is where his observations get like super insightful.
They do. He recognized the paradoxical position of women, in this supposedly egalitarian society.
He was struck by the fact that American women, while they were seen as like intellectually and morally equal, maybe even superior to men,
right,
were mostly relegated to what he called the private sphere.
The private sphere. Interesting.
What did he mean by that?
Well, by private sphere, Tocqueville was referring to like the domestic realm.
The home, the family.
Yeah, exactly. And while men were expected to, participate in public life, politics, commerce, society, women were mainly confined to this domestic sphere.
So while men are out there shaping the nation,
Yeah.
women are like expected to manage the home, raise the next generation.
That's the traditional division.
Right. What did he make of this division, this separation?
Well, he saw this tension, right, between women's capabilities
Mm-hmm.
and their restricted social roles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he saw it as a key feature of American democracy.
Interesting.
And, it's this tension that continues to fuel these debates about gender roles and equality.
Mm-hmm. Makes you wonder, how far have we really come since Tocqueville's time?
Right. Good question.
Yeah, it's fascinating how something he observed, nearly 200 years ago is still so relevant today.
Absolutely.
But before we dive deeper into that, there's another fascinating and maybe surprising aspect of Tocqueville's observations that we need to discuss.
Let's hear it.
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
His focus on religion.
Religion. You wouldn't necessarily expect to find that in a book about democracy.
Right. I wouldn't think religion and democratic individualism, they go hand in hand.
Not necessarily, no.
But Tocqueville actually found that American religiosity played this crucial role in sustaining freedom.
Really? How could that be?
I know, right? Isn't religion much about dogma and authority?
Well, yes. But what Tocqueville observed was that religion in America, while it promoted those things, also fostered this sense of shared morality
Mhm.
and civic virtue. It was like a counterbalance to the potential downsides of individualism and materialism, which he saw as kind of inherent in democratic societies.
So religion, even with its limitations, it provided this moral framework that helped keep those more destructive individualistic forces in check.
Exactly. It's all about this tension, right, between individual liberty and the need for a cohesive society.
Right.
And Tocqueville saw religion, at least in the American context, as a vital element in that delicate balance.
That's such a nuanced perspective. It really makes you rethink those typical assumptions about the relationship between religion and democracy. So we've got the potential for tyranny of the majority, the restricted roles of women, the surprising influence of religion. What else did Tocqueville highlight as crucial to a healthy democracy?
It's amazing how Tocqueville connects all these seemingly totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
Individual freedom, the role of women, and then the influence of religion.
It's like he's weaving this tapestry of American democracy, highlighting the strengths and also the vulnerabilities. But what else did he see as essential for this, grand experiment to succeed?
Well, one of his most significant observations was the power of association.
Association.
Yeah. He believed that the ability to form groups, organizations, was absolutely essential for preserving liberty in a democracy.
That's intriguing. Why were these gatherings so crucial for him?
Well, he saw these voluntary associations as serving a dual purpose. First, they acted as a check on the tyranny of the majority.
Oh, okay.
They provided a platform for individuals to, combine their efforts, amplify their voices, influence public affairs, even if their views different from the prevailing opinion.
So it wasn't just about individual rights. It was about the collective power of citizens.
Yes, working together to shape their own destinies.
Shaping their own destinies. That's powerful.
It is.
And secondly,
Tocqueville saw these associations as a training ground for democratic citizenship.
the training ground, interesting.
Yeah, he believed that by participating in these groups, individuals could, learn the art of self-government, practicing skills like debate, compromise, collaboration.
Those are some pretty essential skills.
Yeah, and these were essential skills that could then be, applied to the larger political sphere.
It's fascinating how he viewed these associations as almost like mini democracies within the larger democracy. Did he have any specific examples of associations that, he found particularly admirable?
Well, Tocqueville was impressed by the sheer variety and vibrancy of associations.
Vibrancy.
He encountered in America. He observed groups dedicated to everything from promoting education, literature, to advocating for social reforms and even organizing leisure activities.
Leisure activities?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One example that really stuck with him was the American Anti-Slavery Society. He saw this organization as a really powerful example of citizens, using their collective voice to challenge a deeply entrenched injustice.
That's a powerful example. So we've got religion serving as this, moral compass,
Right.
associations acting as a check on power. and a training ground for democracy. But didn't Tocqueville also have some, like, warnings for us?
He did.
Potential pitfalls he observed within the American experiment.
Oh, yeah. You know Tocqueville.
Yeah.
Always the astute observer, looking for both the bright spots and the potential dangers.
What kind of dangers?
Well, one of his biggest concerns was the danger of centralization.
Centralization,
The
yeah.
tendency of democratic governments to, like, concentrate power in the hands of the federal government.
That sounds like a concern that's certainly still relevant today.
Right.
What did he see as the problem with, too much power concentrated at the federal level?
Well, Tocqueville worried that excessive centralization would, like, stifle individual initiative.
Stifle individual initiative. Okay.
And create a bureaucratic, impersonal state where citizens felt alienated from the decision-making process.
So they felt alienated.
Yeah. He believed that a healthy democracy needed to find a balance between the authority of the federal government and the freedom of individuals and local communities.
So striking that delicate balance between, a strong central government and vibrant local communities where citizens feel empowered to shape their own lives.
Did he offer any solutions for how to maintain that balance?
Well, he didn't prescribe specific policies. His writing strongly suggests that a vibrant network of local associations and a robust sense of civic virtue were crucial safeguards against the dangers of centralization.
They were crucial safeguards.
Okay.
Yeah. He believed that by actively participating in their communities and engaging in self-government at the local level, citizens could prevent the erosion of individual liberties and ensure that that power remained distributed throughout society.
This idea of a vibrant network of associations serving as this, like, bulwark against the overreach of centralized power, it's incredibly insightful. It speaks to the importance of civic engagement and active participation in a democracy. But I have to admit, sometimes all this talk about political theory can feel a bit abstract.
Sure.
What I love about Tocqueville is that he's not just some dry academic.
Right.
His writing is so engaging, almost like you're having a conversation with a wise and insightful friend.
He had a knack for making these complex ideas accessible.
He did. I remember being struck by his description of the American obsession with material wealth.
Yes.
He called it the pursuit of well-being. And he saw it as both, like, a potential strength and a potential weakness of the American character.
That's a great example. He observed that while this drive for material comfort, it could lead to innovation progress.
Yeah.
It could also foster this kind of restless individualism.
Restless individualism
that undermines social cohesion and civic virtue. He even used this striking image of intellectual dust.
Intellectual dust.
To describe the scattering of opinions and beliefs that couldn't seem to, like, coalesce to anything meaningful when, everyone was so focused on their own individual pursuits.
So focused on their own pursuits. Okay.
Yeah. It's like with so much emphasis on personal gain, people lose sight of the common good and their shared responsibility to, maintain a healthy and vibrant society.
It's like they become so focused on, accumulating more and more that they lose sight of the things that truly matter.
The things that truly matter.
Community, connection,
contributing
to something, larger than themselves.
Right.
That brings us back to his worries about the tyranny of the majority.
Right.
If everyone is just chasing their own individual interests, it becomes easier for a powerful, maybe manipulative majority to impose its will on everyone else.
Exactly. And that's where Tocqueville's emphasis on associations and civic virtue, it becomes even more crucial.
Even more crucial, yeah.
He saw these elements as, like, vital counterweights to the potential pitfalls of, individualism and materialism.
Right.
By engaging in, these shared endeavors, individuals could develop a sense of common purpose and learn to value something beyond their own personal gain.
It's like he's saying that a healthy democracy, it needs citizens who aren't just focused on their own individual rights, but also on their responsibilities to the community as a whole.
Yes, that's the key.
This balance between individual freedom and collective responsibility, that's a theme that runs throughout his work, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's a theme that continues to resonate with us today as we grapple with, the challenges of living in a complex and ever-changing world.
Right.
Tocqueville's observations about the tensions between individual liberty, social cohesion, and the role of government, they're as relevant now as they were in the 1830s.
It's almost like he provided us with a framework for understanding like the very dynamics that drive democratic societies.
That's a great way to put it.
He wasn't just writing about 19th century America.
Yeah.
He was writing about like the enduring challenges, possibilities of democracy itself.
You've hit the nail on the head. And that's why his work continues to fascinate and inspire us today.
So we've explored the paradox of equality,
Yes.
the surprising role of religion, the power of associations, the dangers of centralization. But there's one more area of Tocqueville's observations that I want to touch on before we, wrap up this deep dive. He has some really interesting thoughts about the relationship between democracy and what he called soft despotism.
Ah, yes. Soft despotism.
Soft despotism.
It's a fascinating and this somewhat unsettling concept. It's Tocqueville's term for a subtle form of tyranny that can emerge in democratic societies, even in the absence of a dictator or an oppressive regime.
So even without a dictator.
Even without a dictator, it's like a creeping erosion of individual liberty.
Creeping erosion.
Yeah. That happens so gradually that people, hardly even notice it's happening.
How could that happen? What are the hallmarks of this soft despotism?
Well, Tocqueville envisioned this scenario where, a well-intentioned but overly paternalistic government gradually expands its reach into every aspect of citizens' lives.
So the government, in the name of providing
Yes.
through the well-being and security of its people, slowly but surely encroaches on individual freedom.
That's the idea.
It's like a slow boil.
A slow boil.
You don't realize how hot the water is getting until, you're already cooked.
That's a great analogy. People become so accustomed to the government, taking care of their needs, providing for their security, managing their lives,
Right.
that they become increasingly passive and dependent.
Gas of independent.
They lose the will and the capacity to think for themselves
Yeah.
and to actively participate in shaping their own destinies.
And because this happens so gradually, they don't even realize they're losing their freedom.
They've traded their liberty for comfort and security
Yeah.
without even noticing the exchange.
It's a chilling thought.
It is. And Tocqueville believed that the very equality that democracy promotes
Yeah.
could actually make societies more susceptible to this kind of soft despotism.
Wait, how could equality contribute to this? I thought equality was supposed to be a good thing.
It is, in many ways. But Tocqueville recognized that equality could also lead to this kind of leveling down.
Leveling down, okay.
Where individuals become so focused on, being the same as everyone else that they lose their unique identities.
Oh, I see.
And their willingness to stand out from the crowd.
Stand out from the crowd, yeah.
They become more easily swayed by public opinion and less inclined to challenge authority.
So they're less likely to challenge authority.
This creates, fertile ground for paternalistic government to step in and manage their lives.
It's like in the quest for equality, individuals could inadvertently surrender their individual initiative,
Right.
and their capacity for independent thought. It's a complex and thought-provoking concept.
It is.
It makes you wonder if we're seeing any signs of this soft despotism in our own society today. But before we delve into that, let's take a quick recap of what we've covered so far. So we've been through some of democracy and America's key themes: the paradox of equality, the surprising role of religion, associations as those checks on the majority, and then Tocqueville's warnings about soft despotism. I gotta wonder, what would he make of America today if he just stepped out of a time machine, landed in 2023?
Oh, that's a great question. Imagine Tocqueville, with his sharp eye for social and political dynamics, stepping into our 21st century world.
I think one of the first things he'd notice is our obsession with technology, right? It's everywhere. Our phones, our homes, our workplaces, we're bombarded with information, connected to everyone and everything. I bet he'd have a lot to say about how this shapes, individual capacity for critical thought.
Remember how we talked about information overload?
Yeah.
The scattering of opinions into uh, intellectual dust, as he
Yeah,
called
it's
it.
intellectual dust,
And
yeah.
that was before the internet, before the 24/7 news cycle, before social media algorithms.
He might see our current landscape as like the perfect example of how excessive information can hinder rather than help,
Yeah.
for individuals to develop informed opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. He might even argue that this constant stream of news and opinions, it makes it harder to like step back,
Yeah.
engage in, deep reflective thinking.
The kind of thinking you need for a healthy democracy.
Exactly.
And remember his concerns about the tyranny of the majority.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine what he'd think of social media's power to like amplify certain voices, create these echo chambers where people only see information that reinforces their existing beliefs.
It's like the tyranny of the majority has gone digital.
It's gone digital, but it's not just about technology, right? I think Tocqueville would also be struck by, these certain anxieties he identified like nearly 200 years ago.
Like what?
Concerns about individualism, materialism, the decline of civic engagement.
Right.
He might see our current political landscape with its deep partisan divides, focus on individual rights over, collective responsibilities as a manifestation of those very anxieties.
I think you're right.
He might even say that our obsession with individual rights, while, crucial for protecting liberty, it's come at the expense of our sense of shared purpose.
Shared purpose of, working together for the common good.
A very Tocquevillian concern.
It is. But, I also think you'd find some reasons for optimism.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Remember how much he emphasized education?
He did. Education was huge for him. It was. I think he'd be impressed by the level of access to information and educational resources that we have today, even if he had some concerns about the spread of misinformation.
Right.
And what about his belief in the power of the press?
The press, yeah.
I wonder what he'd make of the explosion of news sources and the rise of citizen journalism.
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? On the one hand, he'd probably celebrate the increased diversity of voices and perspectives, in the media landscape. He might even see the internet as a powerful tool for enabling that kind of robust public discourse that he championed.
But on the other hand,
he would probably also caution us, right, to be discerning consumers of information. He'd remind us that that freedom of the press, it comes with responsibility. The responsibility to seek out reliable sources, to challenge our own biases, and to engage in respectful dialogue with those who hold differing viewpoints.
It all comes back to that idea of individual capacity.
It is.
Tocqueville's greatest fear, right, was that democracy, with its emphasis on individual liberty and equality, it could undermine the very qualities needed to sustain it.
Critical thinking, civic virtue,
a willingness to engage in reasoned debate.
Exactly.
So if Tocqueville were to offer some advice today, what would it be? How can we as individuals cultivate those qualities that he saw as essential for a thriving democracy?
Well, I think he offered a few key pieces of advice. First, cultivate critical thinking skills. Don't just passively consume information.
Right.
Question everything. Seek out diverse perspectives. Engage in respectful dialogue with those who hold different views.
That's so important, especially today, where information is everywhere, but not always reliable.
His second piece of advice, I think, would be get involved in your community. Join groups and associations.
Right.
Volunteer your time.
Yeah.
Participate in local politics.
Right.
Remember, Tocqueville saw those activities as essential training grounds for democracy.
Right. Right.
Places where individuals could develop those skills and habits of active citizenship.
It's about practicing democracy, not just at the ballot box.
Exactly. And finally, I think Tocqueville would remind us to never underestimate the power of individual action.
Individual action, yeah.
Even in a world that can feel overwhelming and complex, each of us has the ability to make a difference.
Make a difference.
By engaging with our communities, advocating for our beliefs, holding our leaders accountable, we can help shape the future of democracy.
So Tocqueville's legacy, it's not just a set of warnings.
No.
It's a call to action, a reminder that That democracy requires constant vigilance,
Yeah.
thoughtful engagement and active participation
Right.
from its citizens.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Democracy in America, it's not just a historical artifact. It's a living document
A living document.
that challenges us to, grapple with these enduring questions about how to create a just and flourishing society.
Well, that brings our deep dive into democracy in America to a close.
It's been a pleasure.
I hope you found this exploration as insightful and thought provoking as we did. And remember, this is just the beginning of your journey into Tocqueville's brilliant and enduring work. There's so much more to discover in his insights and timeless wisdom.
Keep reading, keep thinking, and most importantly, keep engaging with these big questions about what it means to live in a democratic society.
Because, as Tocqueville so brilliantly showed us, the fate of democracy rests in the hands of its citizens.